Josh's teeth are so bright, I can't see. We're going to have to bring down the cameras a little bit.
You're biased. You're naturally biased.
Guys, take my word, you're going to make millions.
You can't even script that.
No, here's somebody just like you. The relationship, the connection, the vulnerability.
Just like all of these clips that were just so real and authentic. I'm like, I could never.
You could go back to meet your 15-year-old self.
Be easy on yourself, pal, and buy a lot of Bitcoin.
And that's what I answered first.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another 11 out of 10 episode. In this episode, we're bringing it bigger and better than ever before once again. In this episode, we don't have just one co-host. We have Zachary Keeps as usual, but we also have Eric Klein joining us as co-host today, and our very special guest, Josh Snow. Now, guys, if you don't know Josh Snow, he is one of the most incredible entrepreneurs I have ever met in my life. Tons of awards. He's got a TV show going public. He sold not just one, not two, but 6 different companies. The last company was a side gig that he scaled up and sold for over $70 million, a publicly traded company, while building his core business, Snow, which has done over $2 billion in sales. The Kardashians use it. He's been on Ellen. He's been on the Oprah Winfrey Show. One of the most gangster marketers and business people I've ever met in my life. So in this episode, he's going to teach you about guerrilla marketing, how he's able to use some guerrilla marketing tactics to scale up these companies with very little marketing spend and get outsized results. He's going to teach you the mindset of an entrepreneur and how to think about when is the right time to sell a company, what types of companies are saleable. A lot of people say that wholesaling companies aren't saleable, but what's really interesting is we actually filmed this episode a couple months ago, and unfortunately we had one of our cameras go down while we were shooting, so we were trying to see if we could recover some of that footage. We weren't able to get it, but we did have a wide shot, so I apologize that there is a wide shot on Josh in this episode, but we had to post it because the content is so good. In fact, the content is so good that since we filmed this, Eric Klein actually ended up selling his wholesaling business just a couple days ago. I think a big part of that was inspired by this episode, by the conversation that you're gonna see go down. And as a result of the conversation that went down, Eric literally just sold his company for millions of dollars. They say you can't sell a wholesaling company. Eric just proved everyone wrong once again. So this is an incredible episode. It's gonna teach you that mindset of how to build not just $1 million companies, not just $100 million companies, but $1 billion companies. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. Without further ado, let's dive in.
There's a few $100 million of net worth here. Like Eric Klein, you've scaled your last company up to $100 million. We talk about that whole story. Zach's done 4,000 plus deals. Investorlift is doing okay. And then you got Melody.
Like 13 billion.
Josh's teeth are so bright, I can't see. We're going to have to bring down the cameras a little bit. Just get a close-up of those teeth.
Get the guy some sunglasses, will you?
It's looking good over here.
So Josh, we got to dive into your story. Let's go back to the start. What was your first business?
Well, you take it back. So I'm born and raised here in Phoenix, and I grew up in West Phoenix, which is different than Scottsdale. And growing up and not having access to a ton of financial resources, I wanted to do better for my family. My dad is an immigrant from Spain and kind of gave up everything in Europe to come to America and allow me to have that opportunity. So for me, growing up, being broke was a huge motivator. So that was, I was like, all right, I get it. I know what being broke's like. I know what taking the city bus is like. So for me, something kind of clicked. I was always an older soul. And when I was about 13 or 14 years old, which is really young, I'm grateful and blessed that I had such an early start to my entrepreneurial journey. But it was out of complete ignorance and just a desperation for changing my current situation and maybe making more money in the future. So I could help my family out. And at the time I wanted to be a doctor because I was like, make good money. You're a community leader. You're educated. That's something that I'm going to go after. That was my thing. And I never even knew about entrepreneurship. It wasn't something I grew up necessarily wanting. Now, retroactively, hindsight's 2020, and you look back to when I was selling paper, colored paper, construction paper door to door, and I was cleaning up lawns, and I had little business cards. And you take it all the way back and you go, okay, that there was something in there. There was something in there, right? But there weren't community examples where I could say, my neighbor started Microsoft. So it was like, you know what I mean? So that wasn't there, but I had this internal desire. And at the time, we didn't have a computer at home. And I spent a lot of time in my school library and the Phoenix Public Library, mostly because the neighborhood that I grew up in wasn't doing too hot. So my parents wanted to kind of get me out of that. And so if I wasn't in football or, sports, I was at the library. And so while I was at the library, there was a program where if you read a book, you take a test, and then you get points, and these points are worth like Arizona Diamondbacks tickets and jerseys and just random stuff.
Yeah.
I figured out that if you read the For Dummies books, they count as a reference book, which is maxing out the point system out of 10. But they were all pictures, and it was literally written for dummies. So you're like, this is easy. So as a kid, I was, this is me looking back and realizing that being in that library, being bored, and as everyone else was on chat rooms and playing games as a teenager, I wanted to create the games that we were playing. I was like, why is the chat website, why is it so slow? And like, why is it? So I had a lot of complaints. So I was like, I'm just going to go read and while you guys do that. And back in the day, it still might be this way. You swipe your library card, you get 1 hour to use the computer per day. So I had 1 hour a day to start building my first website because I read a book, How to Build a Website for Dummies. I was like, wow, this seems pretty straightforward. Like, there's no way. So the fact that I didn't know anything was one of my biggest advantages starting out, because I didn't, the smarter you get, the more you can kind of figure out your demise, and it prevents you from acting. And the more successful you are and the more financially sound you are, the less likely you are to take that jump that could be the greatest jump of your life. When you don't know better, you don't know better, so you take that jump anyway. So it's kind of like skiing. You see, you can be on a freaking black diamond, and there's a 3-year-old that looking like a marshmallow flying down the mountain, and you're like, how is this 3-year-old? They don't know better. So for me, I think the lack of knowing was a huge advantage. Started making websites, not knowing what I was doing. I would run over to the magazine rack, read the top magazines, rewrite them on blogs at the time. Essentially, they were blogs with fake names. And then didn't know anything about analytics. One day I downloaded a tool called Stat Counter, which now everybody uses to Google Analytics. But it would tell you simply how many people hit your website. That was it. And from which countries. So I started to check in with my 1 hour at the library card, and I would see, oh, wow, someone from Kazakhstan and like all these places are viewing my blog in this fake name, and I'm just rewriting the articles and I'm reading from the magazines. I was like, this is really cool. Then one day I Googled how to make money from your website, and I found Google AdSense. I put AdSense on my blogs, and the first time I made like 20 cents on a click in my sleep. I was like, I made money in my sleep. I made 20 cents in my sleep.
When was this?
I was 13 or 14 years old, from the public library. Tricked my dad really to create a Google AdSense account. He didn't know what he was saying. He's like, whatever, like just don't get me in trouble. Like, what the heck? So once that came in, I was like, okay, how do I get more people to click on these ads while I'm at school? How will I make more money? So then I was like, then I Googled how to get more website people. And one of the methods, the only one that was really free, was search engine optimization. I was like, well, I'm broke. That's free. So let me go back to the library, find the SEO books, learn SEO to get more people to my website so they click on my ads. Along the way, I started making websites for other businesses just as part of that skill set. And the first website I ever sold was $500, and I had to Google how much to sell a website for. Because I didn't know. I didn't know you could make money doing this. So that was like, dang, people around me are becoming either drug dealers or things like this. And I go, wow, I could make $500 making a website as a 14-year-old. No one else is going to hire me at this age. This is something I'm kind of naturally good at, and I kind of like it. I'm going to figure this out. So that was really the big story of where that came. And I was about 16 or 17 when I started learning about affiliate marketing. So instead of just putting Google ads on my website, I could put an ad for Investorlift.
Yeah.
And if I got paid $20 a month, if I signed someone up, that's better than 20 cents a click. Then I started saying, which advertisers are advertising the most on my websites? What if I could buy traffic? Like, what if I did that? But I need to have something to do that with. And so I went from, publisher, making the websites, doing the SEO, then building out an agency to do that for other people, managing tens of millions of dollars of legal law firms, plastic surgeons. And then toward the end, before I sold my agency, I learned that agencies don't sell for a lot of money. And I learned that after I'd built a decently sized agency. And I was like, well, I feel like I messed up or something. So how do I fix this? So I went back into the model and I said, what if instead of just you paying me 10 grand a month for search engine optimization services, what if you pay me nothing unless you get, something done, a breast augmentation, a nose job. How much would you pay me per nose job? $800. So then I went to go create my own websites that would drive the leads to those surgeons and law firms. And I started to figure out that piece as well. And then when it fast forward to Snow, I had sold my agency. I was going through jaw surgery at the time. I had horrible headaches. I had a misaligned jaw. So I knew I had jaw surgery. As I was going through that process as an entrepreneur, I said, well, a lot of people have teeth. This is a very difficult business to break into, almost impossible. But even if I'm like 1% right, there might be a business there. And I just felt compelled. So I started working on it. I started asking my orthodontist, my dentist, my oral surgeon, hey, I'm thinking of getting into the oral care business, but I'm not a dentist. What could I do? They said, well, one of the things we do is teeth whitening, and it's, buy another product and all of this. And I said, well, I could start there. That could be something just interesting. So I started building out the first version of that product. I scraped all of the Amazon reviews of every top seller in the marketplace.
Brilliant.
Looked at the 1 stars, 5 stars, created a cloud map, went to manufacturers and said, can you make one that does ding, ding, ding without the ding, ding, ding?
Sensitivity. That's why I never do
Right.
teeth whitening. I did it once and I couldn't even drink water.
Sensodyne tooth.
Yeah.
Snow toothpaste. And
Snow.
that's what made us famous was I'd been whitening my teeth since I was 13. As soon as I started in business, I was a bigger dude. Like I kind of hit puberty at like 5. So I was like 6'4" at 7. So like,
People don't realize you're a big dude. Just on
They
Instagram,
can't see on
social
camera.
media.
I'm
Yeah.
7 feet. Most people don't believe that. No, I'm not. No.
What are you, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'4", yeah. But I was 6 foot at like 10 years old, right? So I was a big kid, but still a kid, And so when you're going out and selling clients and you're in high school, right? And like the biggest fear back then was they'll find out who I am. They'll find that I'm young.
Yeah.
And they won't want to pay $1,000 for this website. I was so terrified of that. But as I was going through and thinking of Snow, I couldn't get it off my mind. I was like, what would I call it? And I was like, 4-letter word, Snow. Snow, it's white, pure, natural. Every snowflake's different, like a smile. All these things it glistens and just all this hit me. And I started throwing it to a few people and they're like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about toothpaste. Like, go for it, Josh. Like, they couldn't really give me a lot of advice. My dentist and all of them were saying, like, honestly, if we didn't have to use the chair to do teeth whitening for $99 and we could use it for root canals and other things that people need, send them home with the Snow kit, that would be awesome.
Wow.
But the biggest piece was sensitivity. So when I went on a TV show called MVP, I got a call about a year into the business from a friend of mine. She's like, I'm filming a show. It's like Shark Tank, but instead of business panelists, it's it's top athletes.
Yeah.
And instead of putting cash in your business, they use their cachet, their brand equity, their social, and they get a piece of your business. I was like, that's dope. Like, that sounds like a brilliant, awesome. I love that. I'd love to be a part of it. She's like, okay, can you fly to LA Tuesday? And it was like Friday. I'm like, I'm not ready for that. Snow had just passed 1 million in sales. And I had just created the first product. The first product was professional results at home for a fraction of the cost without the sensitivity you might expect from those type of results, which was something I was looking for. And I threw it out there at $149, which was the highest priced product anyone had ever seen in that space, like that home space. And they said, you're calling it snow. You're never gonna get the trademark. It's a 4-letter word. It's an element of earth. Teeth whitening and oral care. You're never gonna beat the big guys in that business. You're never gonna get retail distribution. So I bootstrapped from there, right? We now have an award-winning line. We're in CVS, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks. The list goes on and on. Target.com, Amazon, our website. We've had 55 million unique shoppers through our website.
Wow.
And so now today we have that whole suite, but it started with this idea that when I realized my dog's food had more ingredient transparency, more supplementation than my toothpaste, I was like, something's off there. People are ordering keto, gluten-free, all these preferences, but they're swallowing toothpaste twice a day with no question. I was like, I feel like that's eventually going to get there. If there's $80 eye cream, there's got to be something for what you put in your mouth, man, woman, and child twice a day. So I was like, I'm not going to stop because this is something I would use. And along the way, we attracted the celebrities and the millions of users and all of the retail partners. We've never been to a trade show. Never been to a trade show. We've never marketed our business, and we're in the best businesses we could be in today. And that was from that initial belief and the team that I've been able to build around that.
How did you find, this is an amazing story. I'm curious, at a young age and an entrepreneur, your friends early on, were you like just a solo guy, more introverted, or like, how did you get out from, the west side of Phoenix and stick to your, core competency and were you just working by yourself? Did your friends support you? Or do you have the same young childhood friends when you were growing up? Like, what's that story?
I think it's always the same. I think entrepreneurship is very lonely. There's no way around it. Because even when you have business partners, and that's the closest you'll get, and your partner hopefully is in that same bucket. But it's very difficult without the ricochets of accountability at that level, moral accountability, ethical accountability, self-imposed accountability of where we think we should be and could be. That's a very lonely path. So even on your $1 billion exit, you might cry on the way home, and no one would ever understand that because you're driving home in a Rolls Royce. So I think there's, no matter where you end up, adversity is adversity. So I grew up poor. That was my adversity. Sucks. If you grew up as a billionaire child, but you have to now build something bigger than your dad, that's adversity. If you're a minority, if you're a female, if you're like, there's so many adversities. So when I realized, I didn't know that, but to answer your question fully, I think that it all comes down to the same thing. It is lonely. I built Snow when even I secretly didn't believe in it. So like I had to choose that business every day and say, this is why. And like I had to rewire my brain for that business. It could be carpets. It could be toothpaste. I'm going to be the best, and I'm going to not stop until I'm the best. And my team's going to be there because it's the only thing I know how to do. And it's an addiction, and it's a blessing as much as it's a curse. But the better you manage the curse, the more it becomes a blessing. And for me, that's what I think about that. The loneliness is, I didn't have direct people. Now, I had a few really close friends. Back in the day, I was making MySpace layout websites. Crazy thing about that, but I was building MySpace layout websites with Google ads all over them. And I had a friend, Alonzo, who I still work with today, and he used to sit next to me, and we would just jam out, put some music on, make some snacks, do a sleepover, knock out our homework real quick, and I'd be like working on some MySpace layout websites and chilling, and he was always like, that's dope. I had another friend, Jake, and he was, I was building media websites, and he'd be like giving me advice and stuff. So I had few pockets inside, right? My parents were just like, keep your grades up and we won't ask any questions, like just chill, like, the type of deal. But YouTube, Google became my best friend, even before podcasts, because I could find that most billionaires and all these people had a similar adversity path. Even if they were granted and gifted with the best abilities in the world, to become the best, there are still those adversities and that loneliness that comes to it. So I think my journey I'm an extroverted introvert. So I'm the biggest extrovert you'll find. But then sometimes I retreat and I've got to go in my cave and I've got to build and I've got to do, because that's how I get my own self-esteem from. If I don't do that and I only do the other side, my self-esteem collapses and then the other side collapses. And I've learned that. So I balance between the two. And nowadays I'm so blessed to have friends like you guys, and we're able to talk business. We're able to be friends. We're not, at the same time, not needing anything from each other.
Yes.
And I think that's the most attractive trait that a man or a woman can have, is people are more attracted to you when they believe you want nothing from them.
Yeah. 100%. That's so important when you achieve success and your guard's up, right? Oh, you have $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Someone just wants to belly up and have dinner with you. What are they trying to extract from you? I'm curious with you guys, like, are your guards always up? When do you let it down? Where's your trust level with your peers?
Yeah, so I love sitting with people that have actually exited. Like it's a guy said it's like wearing the entrepreneur ring, the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
And I was in 2019 getting ready to go through an exit, and it's going to answer your question of, man, when I had the company, I owned one of the largest timeshare exit companies for almost a decade. And me and my wife bootstrapped it from a bedroom. We had that business longer than we had our son. Like, our son was growing up with the business.
Wow.
And we were 60 days away from, it was ultimately going to be a 9-figure exit. And the story did not turn out the way yours did.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, when that all happened, I found out real quick who my friends were. When I had that business and I was speaking on Grant Cardone 10X stages, and everyone knew me in town, Fort Lauderdale, for having this massive call center, the houses, the cars, the fancy dinners. Never were we ever alone at dinner. We always had friends that wanted to come.
Yeah.
Me and my wife go through the most troubling time we've ever had since we've known each other. And overnight, our phones quit ringing.
Dang.
And it was like, what kind of life were we even living? Like, who was truly surrounded? Like, who were we surrounded by? Were they our friends? We found out real quick, so me and her today, it's like, we're so caught because of what we've been through.
Yeah.
It's like, that was traumatic for us. And to say you can have a friend that doesn't want anything from you. I'm always, my wife she protects me because I grew up in the Midwest. I think everybody is nice and generous, and they're not. I go down to South Florida and it's like, that's a sunny place for shady people. And so today, after going through all that, it's like we're slowly building friends again, where it's like, and my wife is like, no, Eric, I think they're good.
Yeah.
I don't think they want anything from us. Right. It's scary.
And I think one of the things I love about Scottsdale, like, I've only been here less than a month. What I love about it is, I was telling you this. I was like, when I moved here, what I realized is I have more friends in Scottsdale than you ever see. I've never just moved to Scottsdale, but I have more like true friends here in Scottsdale. I think what it is too is like, you're talking about like entrepreneur. It's lonely at the top, right? You were telling your story about like building websites. I was like, I was thinking in my head, I was like, God damn, I wish I met Josh when I was younger. Because what I was doing? I was doing the exact same thing, except I had a different strategy. Instead of doing SEO, what I was doing? I built bots. And I installed them on all the computers in our school library. And those bots would just refresh the pages in the background on every single computer in the library. And we'd be billing all these ad companies like a few pennies. It worked out. Like, we made a few $1,000s until eventually they figured out that.
That's why we didn't meet earlier. We'd be in prison.
How old are you, Josh?
31.
31?
Really?
Yeah. So I was doing I'm 33. We were probably doing the same shit around the same time. Like, you had a better approach though. You know, like, you knew the right way.
I think we were saying, like, there's one of my mentors told me that there are friendships of convenience.
Yeah.
You're convenient for me. You party, you pay for the bill, you take care of bottle service, you invite me, you give me your car. There's friendships of convenience. And for someone with a big heart, it's difficult to accept that. My fiance tells me all the time, she goes, I like to take the longer route, even if it's the more painful route.
Yeah.
There's a certain sadistic addiction to taking that longer route, knowing that I'm playing chess and not checkers. And I always say, honey, don't worry. Everything works out the way it's going to work out, but I can go to sleep at night with a clean conscience, and we will rebuild. And as long as we have each other, we will solve anything. And that transformative experience you've gone through, which I've gone through myself, does make you realize, wow. And I was telling my therapist one time, I was sharing with her, I was like, oh yeah, I went and did this with so-and-so. And she's like, so you hung out with a friend? As an adult male, and I've got 1 million followers and all this stuff, right? Like, oh, and you sit there and sometimes you realize that that's the loneliest version, where you can't complain to the average person because you're not valid in that essence. And so the invalidation of your presence and your problems is so difficult, but having a strong, in your case, a strong woman and a family behind you, and you realize, dang, but then you build this guard, which I think is necessary, unfortunately, in general. Places like Scottsdale, you have a lot of people moving here that are reinventing themselves because they were tired of that, where they came from. And so that's why you get this reinvention of all, if you think all the way back to the San Francisco gold rush, and people were moving to San Francisco all the way from the East Coast, New York, Florida, et cetera, wherever they were, they're moving. And not everybody made it to San Francisco. A lot of people landed in Arizona, and it was a mining place, right? And real estate. And so you have a lot of people in real estate here that reinvented themselves from across the country. And I think that's why the people here are a lot more accepting, and they're willing to kind of give you that benefit of the doubt. And it's a big enough city where you can disappear for a night and not have to worry about that. And it gives you that space that you need. But going through that transformative experience, when I look back at it, back to the loneliest point is, yes, is it lonely at the top? It's not only at the top, you know, you can poke so many holes in this, right? People do this all the time to me. So yes, you can poke holes in it. But the idea is that in your own game, it's very difficult because someone else is playing Halo and you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you're playing another game and Fortnite. And so they can connect with you on the level of difficulty that comes from that and the loneliness of those challenges. But then you're still left a little empty-handed because the specificity of your problems are only within your game and your level. So unless they're right there with you, it's very difficult unless you have a good partner and life partner and things like that. So I think that's not to get depressing. It's just, it's the reality of it. The beautiful part of it is I wouldn't change a thing. All the challenges, all the, I would not change a thing.
I look back at it. My wife and I can sit and look at it today, and when you're in the mud of a lawsuit like that, and people are questioning your integrity, whether or not you're a moral and ethic person, and like we look back at once we had settled, we look back and we're like, all right, everything that we just went through, those 10 years of building that business. Because I remember sitting across from the lawyer that was suing us. I just got done with an 8-hour deposition.
Oof.
Damn.
And one of many. And I was sitting there with my hand on my head. They whooped me that day. And the lawyer that was suing us for the developers, he was at the end of the table with me, and he goes, hey kid, older gentleman. He goes, hey kid. And I look up at him, and he had these beet red eyes, and like his face was always red. I can picture him today. And he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, you make it through this, you can make it through anything.
Right.
And little did he know who he said it to. He didn't know I was a degenerate drug addict that almost took my own life, and 15 years of drug abuse that made it out of that. And like when he said that, I remember going home that night and telling my wife, I said, let's give them whatever they want. If we got to go back to zero, I said, they can't take what we've learned over the last 10 years. And I said, if as long as you and I stay together, because mine and my wife's marriage was on the rocks at that time. You're going through something like that.
Oh, of course.
It was we were, I don't know how far out we were of just giving up on everything we've built, including our marriage.
Yeah.
But I said that night, I said, let's give them whatever they want. So 1, we can stay together. And then 2, I said, give us a year and a half and we'll be right back to where we were.
They try to figure out how to make $1 million. What you got to do instead is, how do I become the person that can make $1 million? And once you get there, how do I become the person that can build a $10 million company? And how do I become the person that can build a $100 million company? How can I become the person that builds a $1 billion company? And all of us will get zeroed out at some point. Every entrepreneur gets zeroed out at some point. But if you got it up here, you're going to bounce back.
Yeah.
You're going to do it bigger and better. And all the mistakes that you made, you're not making them again the second time.
Yeah.
Let's do this like Zach. If you could go 10 years back and you know everything you know today, would you try it? If you go up 10 years back just for fun, 5 years back, 2 years back, 1 year back, 6 months back.
I mean, it's a loaded question. Hindsight's 20/20, of course. It's a great question, but I mean, no, I'm like you. I wouldn't change anything, right? Like I respect your trials and tribulations and the resilience. I think the commonality that we share as entrepreneurs and the mindset, the strength to continue. Most people quit. You go through a traumatic event like that. You build almost $1 billion company.
But you're not changing. You're only changing time. So you're keeping all that you learned. We're still your friends. Everything's the same. You're just going back 5 years ago and Bitcoin was $1,000.
I don't touch any crypto for the record.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying. I would say that because that is so important. Is when do you, without feeling like a quitter, which is against our inner dialogue, how do you quit in a noble way when quitting is the most noble thing to do? Because you're buying time. So if you kept in that battle for 2, 3, 4, 5 more years, you end up in 5 years, and then I ask you 5 years from now, could you go back 5 years, know everything you know? That's the choice you made with your wife, was like, this is the decision today. You're buying time.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on making it. I can only imagine. I don't know your situation directly, but I can only imagine how difficult that is. But the learnings that come from that, and the bonding and all of that.
Everything.
I mean,
I can say today, my
foundation.
Yeah, like mine and my wife's marriage, relationship, how aligned we are we are more aligned today. We've been together almost 15 years. And I can say over the last year and a half, we are the strongest we've ever been. And it was all because of what we went through. Without a shadow of a doubt, I know that. I got to ask the question because I was so close and I almost tasted it. And I saw, I saw the checkered flags like waving. I just didn't make it there. What was because you exited. You've exited multiple times.
How many exits now?
6.
6
exits. And you're
6 exits at 31.
1 years
31.
old.
I've never met someone with 6
Well, I was going to
exits
ask,
at 31.
how does it feel? You felt it so many different times.
Hey, don't leave anything.
What is, like, when, I'm just this last one, I'm assuming it was a sizable exit.
Yes.
That feeling, did it last for a day? What was the
Filling and all that?
Yes, because I know what I was building up to.
Yeah.
So, man, I'll take the last one, for example. Trading in 7 figures a month of cash flow for a one-time payment. It's like when you're in the lottery, right? They go, you want the lump sum?
Yes.
Or you want the payments?
Yes.
Right? I thought I was ready to take the lump sum, but I wasn't quite yet ready. And this was the last one. So
You think you sold too soon?
Yeah, sold too soon.
What business was this, the last one?
This was in insurance. So insurance, we did 1.5 million customers a year, all through paid media. We worked with influencers, celebrities. It was all digital, 20 plus person team. So small team.
On the phones? Or
it was all phone based. So 1.5 million customers generated through phone calls only. We did no form fills. Everybody else did form fills. We did no form fills.
Wow.
And that was very revolutionary, believe it or not, when we did that. But me and my partner bootstrapped that business, built it up. When you trade cash flow for a lump sum, if you don't replace that cash flow efficiently and quickly enough, it creates a degradation of your entrepreneurial abilities more so than at least for me. Everyone's different. Everyone's different. So if I give you $100 million right now, or $10 million a year for 15 years, so you get extra $50 million, that you have to be in a position where you know what to invest in, you know how to move that cash. Your ego is not in front of you. Like there's kind of a little rule book. They don't teach this in college. They go, hey, Robert, when you sell for 800 million, here's what you should probably think about. And the emotional and maturity of that development as well. Even though I've been doing this for 18 years, I would say that every exit I've learned a ton from. And one of the things I learned is that for me, the pursuit of happiness to like this euphoric kind of destination. So I used to always tell myself, when I have $10 million in my bank, I'm going to start working out more.
Right.
Of 10 million, I'm going to go to the doctor. Like just random, like stupid self-sabotaging things that somehow my mind accepted. But that's where I was operating. And so what I realized was that the pursuit is my happiness. I am an entrepreneur, which means that I'm kind of sick, which means that the pursuit is my happiness.
Where we find our like the peace almost. It's chaotic peace, but it's peace.
It's chaotic, and you got to learn how to manage that, right? Choose your chaos. So it's like, but I would say the last exit particularly was a sizable one, and I think that it kind of chin checked me because we went from low rate interest environment to high rate interest environment during this last exit, where the last 10 years have felt very bullish and kind of easier to maintain that. So, even Mike Tyson, right, famously made $400 million and went broke. And so I think that intonation and that metronome, because I was broke one time, even though I'm so far from that,
it's still there.
That it comes up in those moments, and you get this lump sum of cash and you log in and you're like, right, you see a $70 million wire, you're like, that's not real. And it's digital. It's like, that can't be real. So I think that it's super important, at least for me. I did a lot of work the last couple years from every layer that I could so that I could be in a better position so that the next exit that I'm, blessed to receive will be executed in a much different way. And I think because I wasn't planning to get married, I didn't have kids, I think there's a quote about there. It says like, men who lack a purpose seek entertainment. And so you can spend $1 million on bottle service, $1 million on jets, $1 million on yachts. And there's something self-sabotagical that, for me at least, was ingrained, that if I make 100 million, I need to get rid of it as fast as I can so I can make it again. And there was something hypnotic about building sandcastles. And I think over the last couple of years, I've changed that model where now I'm like, you know what? I love boring businesses. And I love cash flow. And, I love building with a team and longevity and focus. And all these things came into focus again. And I thought I had it figured out, but it chin checked me one more time. So does it last a long time? Now it lasts a lot longer because I struggled. This last exit was good, but the last one, I was still struggling with being present. So for me, I'm like, we should have got 400 million. Like it just, this thought of like, you're still not good enough. That imposter syndrome led a lot of that decision. So you just gotta, once you're in a place, everything happens for a reason. And, I wish I could have told my younger self, everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna get everything that you want. But I think the future exits that we're fortunate to hopefully receive, me, my team, my partners, I think we're all on a different wavelength. And I think they will feel a lot better. I'll celebrate them longer because even $1 million, like, $1 million day. Oh, we haven't had one of those in a while. Like, it's just, I don't say it, but like, it's that internal dialogue that sits there. I tell my team, great job. I'm happy for like a second, but then deep down inside, it's still that fear. And so until I figured out how to wrangle that wild horse, it's very hard. Even at 100 billion, I would still feel that type of way. And you see that exemplified in, I don't know Elon Musk, I don't know anything about him other than what I read about him, but there's an addiction to the intensity and the chaos that may potentially be evident throughout his entire thread of life. And so, yeah, that's more important than the dollar. He's the richest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need it.
No.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Once you break like, I don't know, a few $1,000,000 a year, it's not about the money anymore. Cause like you literally like, you know, you go to the grocery store, you can buy anything. You don't even look at the prices. You can like, your needs are fully met. You're not worrying about like, can I pay for this? And then it becomes about the game. Right. Now, what I always find interesting is I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs that exited and they have this like the seller's remorse. You know, like I remember one guy, he sold his company for, I think it was 36 million.
Nice.
It was, what was the name of it? Oh, shit, I can't remember. It was a form builder. He sold it for 36. And then, the company that bought it ended up throwing it in the trash. And he's like, you know what? Like a few years later, like they just tanked it. And he's like, you know what? Like we were growing so fast. He's like, I always regret selling. He's like, when you're growing at 10% a month, don't sell. Don't sell. Because what are you going to do with the capital? You're going to earn 10% a month? Anything else? Like when you're on a rocket ship, hold on. He's like, I could have taken that thing to a few $100 million. I sold too early. What was that calculus that was in your brain? Like when you go, you've exited 6 times.
Yeah.
Like you got to be thinking about, is it just that you want to take some chips off the table? Is it, I've taken this as far as I can go? Because I mean, if you get the cash now, you got to be thinking in your mind is, okay, whatever I do with this cash, I can earn a higher return than if I
continue doing what I was doing. Yeah. It's hard. One of my longest mentors, who's 87, he told me one day, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of, it was years ago when I was considering selling snow earlier on. And he was like, you younger guys have the propensity to trade.
Yeah.
Like, I got something, let me trade. And he's 87 looking back and he's like, I wish I never sold my first company. So you get a lot of different responses. I think that it's applicable to you at the time. If this business is overwhelming you and you're so stressed out and you're compromising your life, your lifestyle, your health, your children, all these things, and you go, I could take 36 million, put that in bonds or something and chill in Aruba with my family for like a month or two, bring home the bacon to my wife and my kids. And then now I'm coming back to the river with everything I know and 36 mil in my pocket.
You're dangerous.
I'm dangerous, buddy.
Yeah.
And even Elon had, this company, hop, skip, jump. The first company wasn't Tesla in 1996. It wasn't. Little software app, right? So that's what it was.
It was
initially.
Yellow Pages Online was the first thing, which is like, sometimes you got to do boring.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg did the same thing.
It's interesting to see your mindset. You're very precocious, by the way. You can tell. I mean, I would think you speak as if you have that 86-year-old wisdom. Obviously, you look 24 years old.
I appreciate
but
that.
You have that mentality. It's interesting, and I respect, because I've had it multiple times where people say, sell your portfolio. When are you going to be done? Why don't you sell? And it's easy for someone to nag you. Why don't you sell? But I respect the fact that you weren't afraid to put the chips on the table and exit, knowing that you can redeploy. And my biggest question, just like you stated, is, what's the redeployment? So you look at your bank account and one exit, 70 million, 80 million, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't that stress you out? Now you have to go redeploy that in something that you're unfamiliar with? And what is the transitions like? Well, ultimately, you have all these other companies now. You're a serial entrepreneur. What's the ultimate goal? Do you want to redeploy into real estate? What is most exciting you in today's market?
In the last couple exits, I just went crazy and invested in all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Vinyl vest for wine, event, both of them. I was like, let me put $50,000 in wine and champagne digitally. I'll never drink it. I'll never see it, but I don't know, I'll try it out. Part of me wanted to learn that landscape so that I could build apps in that space. So I needed to consume. So I went on a consumption journey and I put 100,000 in like 50 different apps, like literally Royalty Exchange, Vince, Vinyl Vest, Masterworks for art, you name it, Fundrise, Realty Mogul, I can go on and on. And I just check all these accounts. And I wanted to see which one kind of felt like my vibe a little bit more, and it always kind of ended up in real estate. But then I was on a TV show, and I'm on a TV show going public, which is in the investor landscape space. So I'm getting a view of equity crowdfunding, all these different various places. But one of my mentors told me as well, he said, a fool and his gold are soon invited everywhere. And that's his quote he shared with me. And so obviously everybody's looking for cash. So as soon as I started writing checks everywhere, they were like, hey, I got this, I got a restaurant, I got this, I got that. So I started investing everywhere, and I realized how broke I was, no matter how rich I thought I was. Because if you write enough checks fast enough, you'll run out.
Yeah.
So, and then no one helps you at that point, because you're like, you ran out of your own money, you ran out of your own tickets in the arcade. Go get your own tickets. I'm playing my game.
Yeah.
No one wants to share credits when they're playing their own game. So that, to me, I think, yes, it puts a pressure on you. And recently I acquired personalfinance.com, because growing up the way I grew up without that financial literacy, how do people learn from, the right people of what to do with their money? Yeah. Because I was that person. I Googled what to do with $10 million. Like, shouldn't be Googling that. Like, that's not good. Like, it's, thanks for Google, but like, it's not good, and obviously I had a financial advisor and all this, but I'm thinking for myself, like, I made the money. I'm not just going to give it away to some suit and tie that just graduated college.
Yeah.
I made the money, not you.
Yeah.
So there's that balance. So I became entrepreneur investor. So my title changed. Just entrepreneur. So entrepreneur investor, both. I make my money here. I invest my money to make more money here, to invest over here, to make more money over here, to do this. Yep. So that changed my role, which then said I owe it to my family and myself that I've got to stay up till 2 a.m. if I have to learn about REITs, learn about real estate, learn about wholesaling, learn about land, learn about all of these aspects, because I owe it to myself and my future generations to learn about this now. It's me.
Yeah.
It's me. It's happening right now. So that kind of morphed, and I think that changed my mindset of, if I'm going to sell something, the Koch brothers in their book, and they're controversial, but in their book, one of their books, talk about the best time to sell a business. Like, they bought Georgia Pacific, which makes all toilet paper and all this stuff, right? $56 billion acquisition. They're one of the biggest private companies in the country, in the world. And they said, when we sell a business is when we've realized that we've hit our capacity, where the value is much better off. So for example, when Snow gets to a certain point, and Procter & Gamble or Unilever or Johnson & Johnson, we don't have international distribution to be even close to that. So for us to take what we built onto the roadshow of international distribution, when we've hit our cap in the US, that makes a lot of sense for us, which means it's probably very valuable to them at that point.
So they're manifesting. So if they're listening right now, you're ready for...
Yeah, I manifest everything, man. I used to be on the city bus here in Phoenix, the Valley Metro, and I didn't even know what a Ferrari was. But I was like, I'm going to go grocery shopping in a Ferrari one day. And that manifestation,
I love that.
It works, man. It works. But I think when you exit businesses, you got to figure out why are you selling this thing?
Yeah.
If it's making you $1 million a month with no problems and infinite scale and all these things, and why would you sell it, right? Unless I gave you 12 years of cash flow.
Yeah.
Because now you're buying time. And the richest people in the world buy time. Elon Musk gets more done than us because he has 50,000 employees times 400,000 hours a day. You will never beat him.
Yeah.
So like, that's the leverage ultimately, but your own time is the highest leverage. So if you can sell your business for more than a 3x multiple, maybe more than a 5, maybe more than a 10, maybe a 20. Wow, you're getting 20 years right now?
Right, yeah.
And I know everything I know? It's like the question I asked you. Could you go back 5 years with all that money and just buy Bitcoin and sit on it? Like, I'd go back 2 years from
Bitcoin
now. I know, Zach. Or buy real estate that was at a better deal, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So, go ahead.
You've done all these investments, and how we got connected, Cody Sperbo, a mutual friend of ours,
I love Cody.
And he's like, Robert, I don't ask you for much, but can you do me a favor? I'm like, sure. He's like, I got a buddy, Josh Snow. This guy is mega baller, super, super talented. He's trying to get into wholesaling, trying to get into real estate. I need to connect you two. Can you hook him up with Investorlift? I'm like, no problem. Now, we chatted briefly. So you did all these micro investments, and then ultimately you ended up deciding, hey, I want to dig into real estate a bit.
Oh, yeah.
What was it about real estate that
I'm going to be preaching to the choir here. I'm a little embarrassed because I'm going to be preaching to the choir, but I'll tell you my experience, and you guys probably have heard this, but it's, when you think about America's wealth, and what is the biggest purchase someone's going to make? Their house.
Yep.
So where is most of their net worth tied in? Probably their house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where does generational transfer happen? Through their house, into real estate and all of this. What are they not building anymore of? Real estate, land. So as I started to think through that, I'm like, wow, as a digital guy, I'm like, wait a second, they're not building any more beachfront property, and so I think the attraction to the physicality in comparison to digital business, and I love digital. I'll never be out of it.
Right.
But man, it feels good when I pull up my app and I see our contracting team has like redone one of our units, and I can see the photos right there and zoom in and like, ooh, it feels good. I make toothpaste. That feels good too because I can try it, but it feels kind of the same.
Yeah.
And you can improve, like we do all kinds of different investments, but when you can improve a community, and especially when we're not doing new construction, we're taking and we're actually adding value, like we're full on adding value. We're taking down a unit complex ourselves, adding a ton of value where the families are living in a better place.
Yep.
Especially when we do like low income tax credits, senior living, Section 8 housing, where we can improve the living with them having to pay $0 more out of pocket. I was like, wow, the scale is incredible. The asset class is always being invested in. You don't have to explain past, like snow. We make toothpaste. Right? Got it. Can I have some? Sure. Like it's just straightforward. Real estate is one of those that it's just everybody gets. The American dream, part of it is to own a home.
Yes.
Or land or real estate, something.
Yeah.
So that's so ingrained that it's like, wow, I can talk to you in 2 sentences and see if you're interested or not and continue the conversation. Versus some like, I invest in space tourism and this very niche thing. And you're like, whoa, that's a little bit harder. Real estate, houses, your house.
Yeah.
What do you have a house? Like, it's just so easy. Like toothpaste, you have teeth?
Yeah.
Okay, toothpaste. So I felt like there was something there. And all my friends, our friends, all of our shared friends are obviously in real estate. I was like, why did I never wake up to it and realize that, and everything happens for a reason at the time it's supposed to, but I just like was like, whoa, I'm over here spending hundreds of millions of dollars selling toothpaste. If I could take some of those concepts into real estate, every business is difficult, but if I could take those in, golly, I might have some fun.
Yeah.
If I could start some real estate funds and use influencers or use ads to raise money from accredited investors, the arbitrage opportunity is much higher than how many toothpaste tubes do I got to sell to do that. So I said, there's a lot of analogies, there's a lot of connections to it. And then ultimately, I get it. I can go see that house. I can touch it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And there's something about that physicality, I think, that was outwardly attractive to me as a digital guy. And then the second piece is just everybody is in real estate. You're living in a place, you're renting a place, you got a mortgage, like everybody's in it. And if you can help a lot of people, and I like to do things that can scale to 1 billion people or 100 million people, toothpaste, toothbrush, insurance, and real estate is one of those areas that's really nice. And the last piece of that is that I realize that what I bring, the flavor that I bring into real estate is an arbitrage in upon itself. So if I'm just myself, I have an advantage. And that's somewhere I at least want to hang out. The couch is comfy. I'm going to sit for a little while.
Yeah. So I gave Josh some advice about a month or so ago. There's a reason why I have these 2 guys co-hosting, okay? Is because I have a perspective, right, based on my experiences, but also you got a perspective,
Sure.
You'll get different advice from different people, different perspectives and different experiences. So Josh called me up when I was up in, I think, Switzerland or Norway. Yeah, which was awesome, by the way. That is incredible. Yeah.
You were
we gotta
skiing.
go kick
When
it and ski there. We gotta go skiing.
I'm in.
So
You better be a good skier with the name Snow.
yeah,
Good. You know he's good.
I'm working my way to heli skiing at some point.
That's
So
sick.
we'll-
when you do it,
I don't know.
call me up.
That seems nuts.
Yeah.
I gotta show you my new
I'll do
skis
it,
I picked up,
really.
and yeah, I knew a little bit about your background. I knew you were a digital guy,
Yeah.
and we started talking, and he was saying, I'm getting started wholesaling, and I'm like, okay, you've done some really big stuff.
Yeah.
Big stuff, primarily in the digital space.
Yep.
Like what you want to do is take that competitive advantage, the skill set you developed there, and figure out a way to apply that to real estate.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were, okay, first of all, start wholesaling single family because you just got to learn how to do deals. And that's low risk,
Yeah, you
low
source
capital, low stakes. Learn how to source deals, underwrite, build a team, get things rolling. I'm like, but you're going to get bored of that pretty quick. And I know that you want to do stuff at scale. So my thought was you cut your teeth wholesaling and then very quickly probably move over to multifamily. Get a small proof of concept done. Maybe create a small fund. Maybe you're funding the whole thing yourself. Maybe you raise some money from investors, but then leverage all the skills that you have to go. I'm like, the big move here would be like raising a fund, raise a fund, use all the skills that you have from social media and marketing and all that to bring capital in.
Yes.
And then you develop that operational talent, then, selects the investments, does the value add, stabilizes the real estate. And then you just build this machine and the faster you can bring in capital, the faster you can grow it. And you make some fees on top. And that was my thought. My thought was start wholesaling, then move up to multifamily quickly, but then ultimately raise a fund, create your own fund. Zach, you've done 4,000, you got hundreds of rental units. What are your thoughts?
So
what would you do if you were?
It's a great question. I'm going to integrate that with what you talked about, which I find so enamoring and engaging. You said, Google, what do I do with $10 million, right? And I think we're all here because we're all captaining our own domains, right? Our futures. We're all in control. I like when you talk about physicality, that's exactly who I am. I'm about tangibility, see it, feel it, touch it, just like your toothpaste, just like the houses and all that.
Yeah.
So we're all playing kind of this long game. There's no get rich quick, manufacturing, build it, stabilize, enhance people's lives. I agree with all those things. So to me, when I think about, if you deploy $10 million, for example, to a financial advisor, do those people really give a shit about you? Do they really care? They just want their 1% fee. And if you make money, great. And if you lose a little money, they're still getting their fee. They'll call you once a year. Hey, congrats, you're up 10%. Same as the, generalized portfolio or whatever it is, a fund.
Yeah.
In this case, I would say play the long game, just like I have the whole time. We talk about, you've exited 6 times. I've never exited. I've exited incrementally, right, on package of deals, but not my entire company. I like the fact that I think there's got to be a hybrid approach, but ultimately you learn a little bit on a small scale because you're a big picture scaling guy. You get in the wholesale business, you flip some and you get the feel for it. You figure out which market you truly want to penetrate because you're not going to do all the United States to go really big. You pick 2 or 3 good markets. You penetrate because you can crowdsource, you can raise funds, you can leverage who you are in your shows and all that stuff, which is massive. And people want to do business with you because you're a proven entity. You're an entrepreneur. You can leverage the skill sets that you've created when you talk about time, just like you've created in your business before, to any business. They're all replicable to whatever you're going to do. And I say you buy and hold, right? Because now you talk about risk averse. Time is on our side. We can't pick and choose. You can't, buy. It's impossible to buy at the bottom and sell at the top all the time. So you get a good chunk in the middle. Again, the Warren Buffett approach. And you buy, you hold, you get preferred returns for people that want to have fun, be engaging, and there's a reason to it. Like you wake up in the morning, you say, are you just doing it for your family or you want to help other people, which you talked about? So I think for your specific business and future, to raise the funds to help people get financial, liberation and freedom, you can be that pioneer for your followers that don't have that individual that can, steer them in the right direction, empower them and push them forward by leveraging your expertise and your experience. Because like you say, it's not rocket science, guys. I didn't go to Harvard like Robert. I went to good business school. I didn't know Harvard. But the point is, we're Midwest guys. You're a West Phoenix guy. We roll up our sleeves, we get dirty, we do people right, and we make shit happen. And so I play the long game. I buy and hold. And you talk about regrets of this and that in the past. I regret some of the houses I've sold, of course, because now they've gone up over time. But on the same respect, what I did do diligently was redeploy that money. I didn't sit it on the sidelines and lose to inflation. And that's the power of playing with real monopoly money, which we're doing, is redeployment and exponentially turning those dollars.
Well, what that reminds me of is how you win in the game of Monopoly, right? 30% of board game sales are one game, Monopoly. Yeah. Which is really dope. Wow. Because that's the whole American dream kind of scenario, right? And people, in my household, Monopoly, you have to preface it and say, are we Like playing Monopoly? Or are we gonna play for an hour and stop?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you have to, because it's a real thing, right? My fiance is ferociously competitive, and she's really good.
Is
at
she an
everything.
entrepreneur as well?
She might as well, but she's the best entrepreneur, I think. She helps me in everything that I do, and she's the most creative. We're our house right now, 1,000 choices a minute. I would drown in that. Designing toothpaste, designing a business model, a mousetrap. So we're perfect pairs.
That's great.
But in playing Monopoly, how I win usually is I buy everything I can afford,
Yeah.
and I never sell it.
There you go.
And I collect rents on it until everyone goes bankrupt.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's crazy because this, I played at 5 years old, and here I'm in my 30s. It's the same thing. And I realized that there's a certain aspect to that. And so cutting my teeth on the wholesale side, which building up that basis, right? Understanding, getting comfortable there. It's a good business. And then to your point, my goal would be exactly that, is using a fund and funds, in addition to my own funds, which is what I've been doing, to continue to scale that out and build maybe 80% of really good stuff we're holding on to. And there's 20% of things, part of the business that's able to move that cash flow and feed the team and kind of have that balance. Cause then I could, that's the thing is, Robert told me this up front. He's like, with toothpaste, I'm like, okay, I can sell to 8 billion people.
Yeah.
So I know the mass scale version, I could see it.
Yep.
I got it. And so with real estate, I'm finding my way through that and realizing, okay, here's what I've done on my personal side. What can I funditize that I feel confident enough about?
Yeah.
And then what can I cherry pick for me and my team for more of like a legacy type of approach? And can I do both? Because my favorite nowadays is make money while you're making money, while you're making money, while you're making money, and everyone else is making money. And like Robert said earlier, you want to go from 10 million, 100 million, billion. The way I think about that is my team members need to make $10 million in order for us to sell for $1 billion, right? Like on an exit, equity, those type of things. So it really challenges that concept. But when I think about like what you do, Zach, and thinking of a fund having 10,000 rental or units, let's say, or whatever it is, if it's multifamily, but having that and then giving access, democratizing access to my community and everyone else's community to access that. And then like you're mentioning a world-class team of diligence, which is what we're building now. I feel excited by that.
I got to give major advice though. So the only thing my concern is, because I know you're a big player and you're not going to do, I'm going to buy 300 houses, Zach, and be your size. No, you're going, Zach, I want 30,000 houses.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose the personal touch. Just like I guarantee in your snow business and all your other
that's true.
business,
We talk to every
it's
customer.
culture. So that's same thing. Like I
Every
would say,
customer.
I would integrate I would give toothpaste. I'm not even joking. I would give a snow toothpaste, a moving kit to tenants, and let them get to like engage with your team. Don't become a fund
like
like
that.
these big funds
that's good.
that
That's
are
good
so
advice,
impersonal and
Zach.
they treat the people like an annuity of income. And that's the secret. One of the secrets to my success is I literally meet my tenants. I go belly to belly with them. I want to know your background. I know where you're from. I want to know your story. And I tell them, this is my movement line.
Invite him over for Thanksgiving dinner.
They do. People invite me over for Christmas,
love it.
Hanukkah, New
That's
Year's,
the
whatever.
goal.
And so you want to engage with them. They're less likely to screw up the home. You're not, Jared, just taking the passive income. You're
true.
working with them, and maybe you empower those people to eventually buy those assets, to give them equity in your stuff, which will raise
I
the
love
value because
that.
they're going to take better care of it, and really just create that culture. And that's why anyone can raise a fund, but why are you different in that space? And I would encourage that personalization, engagement to your target markets, wherever you're penetrating, to bring that to the table, not only for your investors, but for your clients. And those
Scale the
clients,
unscalables.
scale the unscalables. There you
Imagine
go.
if your tenants are also business owners.
Yeah. Or give them equity in some sort of other companies. Or they start investing in it in the slow point too, so they actually own a piece of where they're renting. That could be really cool.
I
You
mean,
gotta
talking
keep
about
us
language, because
posted.
it makes sense, because going public, our show is for non-accredited investors. So it's American Idol meets Shark Tank type of style.
I love it.
Where if you like the business, you can invest as little as $500, $1,000, and now you're a shareholder in that business.
Yeah.
Because that's the other piece, is the community that you're talking about.
It's so important. It's so like this business traditionally is so impersonal. Like your business, it's virtual. You never even meet these people. You talk to them on the phone, so there's some level of energy transfer. But I'm all about, again, that belly to belly, the Midwest hustle, roll up the sleeves, get to know these people.
Yeah.
You're going to do much better by creating that culture in the forefront, improve it up front. And I think you get even these credit investors to say, oh, I'm going to invest in this one. Why wouldn't they go invest in Blackstone compared to you? You got to differentiate.
Well, I was wondering about that. Helps me a lot because, why buy snow over something else? And I answer that question to everybody, right? And that becomes our core. Like, why buy? Well, we are so happy you asked that.
Right.
And in real estate, that's something that itches my brain because I want to build longevity.
There you go.
Reputation.
That's everything.
Yeah.
And I think you did a great job with the dog food analogy. It really resonated. I don't know how you guys felt when you're like, your dogs are eating better than the ingredients. It's in the generalized toothpaste. I'm going to change it. That is so
nuts?
It's so powerful.
Yeah, that
you
was
had me a dog food because I'm a dog lover. I'm like, God, that makes
I like that.
Great,
That was good.
Eric, what advice do you have for Josh in the real estate space? So Eric came in, he called me up, our highest level, cartel level, you got to be doing $250,000 a month to get access. And I was almost out of seats. Eric calls me up. He had just gotten back at the game after we went through this whole lawsuit stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, I want cartel access. I'm like, all right, well, what are your HUDs for last month? And he's like, 148,000. I'm like, yeah, maybe keep on working on a few more months. You can call me when you're at 250. He's like, no, bro. 148,000 in my first month. I'm like, what? And he came in, he brought all the stuff that he learned in the timeshare, phone sales business, brought it into our industry, grew his revenue faster than I've ever seen anyone ever grow a wholesaling business. Last time we were kicking it, you were at like 670,000 on the board for the month.
Yeah.
And that's like a regular month for you?
2.3, 2.2 million in my pipeline right now.
And
For the month?
Eric just got in. He's on
that. Well,
Just about closing a
closing.
certain
I have
grade.
probably $500,000 assigned, ready to close. I got probably 900,000 in my dispositions department right now.
And you've only been in the game for like 24 months, maybe?
Under 3 years, just under 3 years.
So,
But technically, he's been in the game for decades with his other
14
business, so
years.
that's not a fair comparison.
That's why
there you go.
Everyone's like, you've only been doing this. They're like, some guy tried telling me I hadn't earned my stripes yet in this industry. And I was like,
bro, I changed the industry.
what do you mean I haven't earned my stripes?
Right.
But
what advice would you have for Josh? Like, Josh is, you're into it almost a year?
2 years now with my own portfolio, and then a year with what we're doing now.
So are you actively wholesaling deals?
Yes.
How many a month?
A couple of deals right now a month.
Yeah.
A 4-person team.
Closers?
Closers, yeah.
Got it. So I did.
No, they start with sheriff sales, foreclosures, novations, right?
Yeah. So my first 12 months from the day I picked the phone up, in my first 12 months with only 2 closers and my partner doing dispo.
Yeah.
We did 118 assignments for like 2.6 million from the day I picked my phone up and made my first dial. So what I look at it as, you have to have lead flow to get deal flow.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lead gen business.
If you don't have, I don't know how many leads guys get a month right now to do the amount of deals, but it's like, if how many leads are you getting? What are you converting them at?
Right.
Then it's literally just turn up the lead flow. So I have it dialed down. I still today don't say I'm in real estate. Even though I bought a couple rental properties and stuff like that, like, I am sales and marketing.
Yeah.
I want to get into the real estate and play it at a big game.
We're going to teach you what a carport is, right?
Yeah.
We'll start there.
Carport and garages and framewood construction. We'll give you the
we're going to get there. But like, for me, I have our operation so dialed in. Like, I know for my cold call data, because I own a call center overseas. And I know for every 31 leads that come into my company, I'm going to get a contract.
Yeah.
For cold call.
Yeah.
PPC, I know every 10 that come in, I'm going to get a contract. And the reason I believe I have produced results most have not in this industry as fast as I have is I've even systematized my sales process.
Wow.
Like, people said when I came in here and I started going to these masterminds and events, I said, I got a 12-page script. And they're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. You can't
We all
script.
thought he was nuts.
They
We literally all thought he was nuts.
They said,
agree.
you can't script this out. And I said,
Show me.
I've done it.
Let me show you.
So when I bring someone new in to on my team, I literally put them through 4 days of training, train them on my CRM. I put them at a desk. And as long as they read my script, they don't even have to put their personality into it. 3 to 5 contracts. Their first 30 days. And then their second 30 days, it's mandatory they get 8 contracts. And it's because of my sales process.
That's amazing.
Like I have dialed in because we're all in real estate now, right? We're talking real estate now. We're not talking toothpaste.
Right.
So if we all buy the same data, because most likely we're all in the same markets.
Right.
The only thing that's going to separate me from you is my sales pitch.
Yeah.
And these homeowners I went before I ever picked the phone up, because I heard some buddies of mine sent me some recordings, and I go, if that's how your best guy sounds, my biggest hurdle in this competition is separating myself so far from these amateurs to where I can get more deals than they can.
Yeah.
So I look at it as my sales process is I just sound so different than everybody else on the way I approach these phone calls that the homeowner, even in the first 30 seconds, they're like, this guy's different.
Right.
Yeah.
My word tracks are different. What I'm having them do is different. The questions I'm asking are different. I'm saying I'm going to qualify your home. So I'd love to be able to add value to what you're doing.
Oh yeah, we're definitely talking.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that I can say for the wholesale industry, which you will get bored with that very quick, is I got the sales pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the best strategy for you is like a combination of both of these, right?
Yeah, honestly.
Like the wholesaling business is just marketing sales. That's all it is.
Well, even
marketing
when you
sales.
move into multifamily, why wouldn't you want to source your own deals?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why I think where these two come together is, cut your teeth wholesaling.
Well, it's exactly what I'm looking to build.
Yeah.
Right? It's
And then start buying whole.
and then buying whole, and you mix and match. I mean, thank you for sharing that, because when I think of Snow, like we call back our abandoned cart customers. Like,
Yep.
the way I look at that is you find a place, they're panning for gold.
Yep.
And they've got a big old gaping hole in it, and they're fine with the edges that collect on, those edges.
Yep.
You figure out that if you can net fish instead of pull fish, you can take a nap and collect enough that you have a surplus that you could actually supply the town.
There you go.
And then you could
Exactly.
pay that person more because they just watched the net.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you've absorbed all of that inside the business. And that's what you realize. Like I realized with oral care, I was like, man, if we did this, and this, like that would be, it sounds so simple. The intricacies make it more difficult to execute. But it's again, that creating that brandability, that standout piece. So
Yep.
both of you guys, great advice. I mean,
Yeah.
huge.
But there's a similarity even between your business and my business, in the sense that you identified the fact that you're so unique. You've differentiated yourself. I think all these people go to these seminars, they're reading the same scripts from the same influencers, from the same people.
That's it.
It's so boring. I get these cold calls all the
know
time.
the
Hey,
pitch
are you
before you say
interested
it.
in selling your house? And I can even tell by the ring because it's coming in from a VA from Philippines. Hello, sir. I go, yes. Which property are you calling on, right? So again, you just like anything else, you already know what to do. It's just a matter of execution and doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Period. The
Well,
end.
that's what I love
But
about real estate is you
I
can
love to
do-
hear your stuff and how you're different, like the engaging questions, the likability. It's all about connection and consultation.
Yes.
Period. The end.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same in any business, man. They want to switch to a toothbrush. What's different about you? And can we stand out so much from our packaging, our website, our advertising, that you separate yourself from the inclusion of the competition? And that's what Peter Thiel always said. He's like, competition's for losers.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it sounds great, but like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You do it in exactly that way, and you separate yourself. Then you replicate yourself.
Yep.
And then you now have a wedge in a semi-commoditized business. I mean, toothpaste has been around forever. So how do I get someone to switch to me? Real estate. How do you get people to work for you and stay working for you?
Yep.
And that advice rings so true, because as we look at retaining all-stars on the team and building that out, and also figuring out where our superpower lies. Yeah, I think that PayPal figured out that if we hatch on top of eBay and force people, back in the day, you had to send a Western Union or a personal check to buy a product on eBay. They said, what if you had a little link and you could like connect your bank account? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And Meg Whitman back at the time, they were going after PayPal because she's like, you're leeching off my platform and making all this money. And they're like, well, buy us then. And she's like, I'm not buying you for $8 billion or whatever. Then they went public and she had to pay like 5 times that to acquire them. And it was probably worth it. I mean, PayPal is a freaking huge, one of the biggest banks. But yeah, you're right. Figuring out what's nice about real estate is you can do a little bit of that mix and have that opportunity. And I think that's what excites me a lot about it, is bringing those skill sets in and following your advice, Zach, of being able to, as we're building that brand, building that community, but also standing out so we can build that wedge, because it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
Go back and work on your aim before you keep shooting.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying that rings true to me, is like the work you're doing on that 12-page script that everyone's laughing at.
Everyone's laughing at it.
It's the below the surface. Everyone, I mean, I wasn't there and it's probably really tragic, but Titanic, there was the tip of the iceberg, right? But it's not the tip that's going to take you down. It's the underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And I think too, like when you talk about building and scaling, and it's really important when you do, proceed in the real estate game, I think we would all agree that giving the contractors, the designers, the different people that are working with you, not for you. My mentality is I like to turn houses into homes, right? Yeah, and there's a feeling about that. And I give my, employees, if you will, my colleagues, autonomy to make decisions, right? I get my designer, you choose it. I don't want to be bogged down in that. I want to engage with the people, but also treat it consultatively. I let my tenants actually say, I'd like to do a color wall over here. I'd like grass in the backyard for my dog. Are you willing to sign a 3-year lease? I'll put artificial turf in there. So it's like, we do shit just like you do, completely different, but empowering people from the people that are working with you and for you to the end consumers, the tenants and the purchasers, be involved in that
makes all sense,
operation.
because when you, like, if toothpaste, we can sell teething gel to a toddler, an infant, and then we can sell denture care at 93 years old.
Right.
So why would we ever mess up that relationship with that customer when you have 90? Yeah, you have 90 years. As long as someone has teeth or dentures or one tooth, baby tooth, shark tooth, whatever you got, we will whiten it, shine it, clean it, make it smell great, look great.
I like it.
So you're right, because I'm just connecting to you there. It's like, that's how we think about snow, is why would we ever want a customer to have an unpleasant experience? We try really hard, even when that happens, to resurrect that, because they're going to still brush your teeth.
Yep.
And I've got 80 years that this person might come back to snow, and that's worth a lot. But it's the balance of treat them really well on the front end, have that unique differentiation, the stuff that you hold on to, building that community, including the team inside of there. Makes sense, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
I have a really important question that's been resonating with me. We're huge on energy and engagement. I know we all run stressful businesses, multiple businesses, etc. How do you guys, maintain physical, mental, stamina and stability in your life? So you mentioned you had, a counselor, if you will, or a coach, and different mentors. What do you guys do independently on the daily to maintain a sound mind and clarity in your business and health-wise? How do you make that a priority?
Yeah. So you want to know what's, it's not funny, but the whole time I was building my first company, people used to ask me all the time, what are your hobbies? And I would literally have to tell them work. And I said that enough to where I truly believe I was like going a little bit crazy building, especially what I went through at the end. And I had to, this go around that I'm on now, that I started through almost 3 years ago, because I am 100% rebuilding my life again right now.
Yeah.
I had to find things that I could shut my mind off, because for almost 10 years building that company, I didn't do anything other than work.
Right.
And it was very stressful on my relationship. So to answer your question, after 15 years of not picking up a snowboard, I picked up a snowboard a couple years ago at 40 years old.
Nice.
And I was really good when I was a young kid snowboarding. Like, I truly believe if I would have stuck with it and didn't pick up the drugs, I could have been something on the slopes.
Wow.
And I picked it up, and it was like I never stopped.
Yeah.
And I remember going down the hill for the first time, my brain shut off. And I was like, I told my wife, I go, honey, because I can't, meditation for me, I've tried it.
Yeah.
I didn't stick with it long enough to
You
be
got
able to.
ADHD, I already know.
Bad.
Yeah.
All of us
And
probably do.
I told my wife, I go,
Is this not the ADHD meetup?
I told my wife, I go, snowboarding's it for me.
Yeah.
So in the winter, I snowboard as much as I possibly can. And then I have, for this go around of rebuilding and building a business, I have consistently worked out for the last 2.5 years, which for me has been an absolute game changer for me.
Yeah.
So I would say those two things. And then we just bought a lake house. Going up to our lake house for some reason shuts my mind off a little bit.
Yeah. You wake surf?
I'm getting back into fucking wakeboarding and the
Nice.
surf. I bought a new wakeboard boat. And
Nice.
Nice.
So like that kind of stuff for me is what works.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I picked up skiing. So skiing, just as you're saying, snowboarding, same thing.
Yeah.
You're just out there, beautiful.
It's amazing.
You're just going. And there's that moment. I was where were we last? We were in Aspen a couple weeks ago, and I was going way too fast.
Yeah.
But
Focused.
Oh no, I was bent down, like all body forward, just fly. I should not be doing this, but
Yeah.
I'm just flying. But there was this huge euphoric dopamine rush
Yeah.
that is like a drug.
Yeah.
And it is that kind of letting go piece that feels so good, that is way healthier than drugs, alcohol, these other things, that feeling. And for me, realizing that I could get that feeling, because I did the same thing. I bought the Mendy, the Headspace, every machine you put on your head. I went to Dr. Armand's clinics for brain scan.
Yeah.
I did all that stuff, and that's been helpful, but I had to find that mix for me.
Yeah.
And that mix for me, sometimes my fiance, she'll say, hey, let's leave our phones behind for an hour or two. She's all about no screens
Powerful.
and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I made all my money from screens. So it came back on me and I realized, whoa, double-edged sword. So I think unplugging, even sometimes I'm like, babe, let me handle that. Like it could be the most manual thing. And I just want to do it because for an hour or two that I'm doing something, cooking or whatever it is, I might not be good at it.
Yeah.
But just that piece is really, really nice. My nonprofit work, I think, is super important. It constantly grounds me, and you'll never feel broker than in nonprofit. Because Bill Gates just gave $10 billion and made a little dent. What much you got? And you're like, dang, like all the people you want to help, you realize that you may not ever be able to help them all. And if creating businesses in a capitalistic sense, creating opportunity, creating jobs, creating life-changing incomes and exit events for your team, your partners, and your friends and your family, and community, and investors. If you have the multiplier effect, which we have, there's, in my opinion, I've come to this moral obligation that I have to take care of myself. And self-care for me, for 89% of my life, was taboo. Like, how dare I go get another massage?
Yeah.
And I'm in crippling back pain. I have degenerative disc disease, so I go through a lot of stuff in my back. But, I was like, oh no, I'm not rich enough to work out. What?
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of thought?
Crazy,
right. So these, those thoughts would come up. So I think self-care, community, hanging out with family, right? And going and we're going this weekend to hang out with my fiance's family and just hang out with some little babies. And for 2 hours, 3 hours that I'm holding that baby, nothing else matters. I can't tell them about, my tax strategy. Like,
right.
It's not gonna matter. Like, they're like, mama, like pizza. Like, so just kind of those things, believe it or not. One of my funnest times, me and my fiance, was our first time on these sea bobs. And they're little baby jet skis that you hold on to and you go through the water like a little dolphin.
Yeah.
And we went out there for 2 hours, got totally sunburnt, like just wrecked. But we had the most fun by not caring about what's going on. Right. So that's a big piece of it, nonprofit. And then I'm an intellectualist in terms of I'm obviously obsessed with business. This is our sport. So I love to meet new people, learn about new things, hang out with my friends. I've learned to become a connector. I realize as an adult, it's hard to make friends. It's harder.
Yep.
And I've got a ton of acquaintances, right? But like, who do I have that I want to actually go hang out with and like go play pool with for an hour or two? So I learned that, and my fiance taught me most of this. Friendships take work. Nurturing friendships takes work. And I relied a lot on having connectors as friends, where they'd be like, I had a roster of invites that I could choose from. And as I got older and went through a lot of stuff, I realized I took that for granted. So I'm reigniting now as a Phoenix, as becoming the connector and saying, hey, do you want to go see a movie? Like, let me just text a few people. Hey, do you want to go to the coffee shop? The other day I had a buddy over and we were just up top on the pool. And I was like, you don't have to talk to me. We're working, but like, come hang out. Like creating that, kind of pushing myself to do that. And I find that gives me a lot of relaxation too, going playing some golf or going skiing or doing these things. So not maybe the typical answer that people might be looking for.
Loved it.
But in reality, it's like, I know how to get my fix on the internet. I can go watch Robert's videos and be like, like, and I'm ready to go. Like I'm halfway through a video and I'm already like writing an email, right? I'm like, I'm ready. But then if I'm hanging out with a bunch of kids and they want me to help build a tent or something, like there's no, you know what I mean? For me, I found that keeps me grounded. And then the nonprofit work, coming back to my fiance, spending time helping other people. Gosh, that feels really good.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it pushes me to become better and stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I got a hack on this. The hack is Adventure Saturdays. So Saturdays, no matter what it is you're going skiing. This weekend I just went hiking, scuba diving, go-karting, whatever it is. Saturday is the adventure day.
Love it.
Just blow off. So you've been sitting at a desk all week.
Yep.
You know, your ass is sore from being in the seat.
Get outside.
Get outside. Saturday is adventure day. The goal is just tire yourself out.
Yep.
And then Sunday is lazy Sunday. Lazy Sunday. Sunday, just absolutely nothing. Sleep in till whenever. Stay in bed all day. Watch Netflix. Just ordering food. I'm not cooking. I'm not cleaning. I'm not doing anything.
Watch 12 episodes of Hoarders in a row.
Exactly. We were just doing that after we filmed at the
Wait till you
Hoarders
see an
house.
episode. Oh
We got an
God.
episode filmed.
Oh,
coming out soon.
Hoarder suit, mask. He was all natural.
It
It was great.
Going for
That was
trash,
fun.
turning trash into gold.
We sure did.
Yeah, so Adventure Saturdays.
I love it.
Lazy Sundays. And then Monday, you just feel so good.
Yeah.
You know, you got
love it.
you got blew off all the steam on Saturday. Sunday, you just completely revive.
Yeah.
Monday, you're just like ready to get at it.
You live that, by the way. I appreciate that about you because it pushes me a little bit sometimes too, where I'm like, we gotta get out of the house a little bit more and do that. The money will come, the ideals will come better. You know, sometimes when you take a little step outside, go to the park and just walk around, be bored. We forgot how to be bored. And I like that. Saturday, Sunday, absolutely chill, hang out. And then, Monday. I struggled with that for like 15 years of my life of trying to figure out that balance because my hobby was work. And I made a joke, and in America, it's like the only like place really you go like, how's work? Busy. And you're like, nice. Right. And you're like secretly depressed and like, they're like, yeah, it's great. And like that kind of analogy versus take that time to do it. Thing is, and I know you know this, if anything, bare minimum, my businesses have not suffered as a result of it. They've only gotten better because you as the leader of the ship are coming back regenerated, re-energized. It's actually, that self-care is actually selfless. Selfish, but it's selfless. And that took me forever to figure out. So I'm going to steal that from you. Adventure Saturdays.
Venture studies and lazy
Accountability is
Sundays.
important. We're going to watch for your social media to what you're posting.
You're coming
for
with
your,
me. Are you kidding?
For this,
Come on.
We gotta get these
Every
trips to
Saturday,
Aspen.
Zach, we are doing something
you go.
different.
Let's do it.
Fly fishing, rafting.
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm in for it, man. I'm in for it.
It's good.
Okay, I want to take a step back because there's something that I wanted to learn from you that I know you're famous for. We started going down the rabbit hole in real estate. And this is a real estate podcast, so I'm glad that we went down that rabbit hole. But one of the things that you were talking about is you call it UGC. You're famous for that. Can you tell everyone what UGC is
Yes.
and explain how you've done it, how you've implemented that in your businesses, and why it's so powerful?
I mean, I've generated hundreds of millions in sales for my own businesses from user-generated content. So UGC is user-generated content. If a brand is marketing themselves, you expect them to say nice things about themselves, unless they're liquid death.
Say that again.
If brands are marketing themselves, you expect them to say good things about themselves.
Right. Okay.
If you're a Kia sales guy, you're going to say the best things about Kia.
Yeah.
You're biased. You're naturally biased.
Yep.
But if it's Joe Schmo from who knows where with 2 followers, and they're like on TikTok saying, this is the bee's knees, all of a sudden it feels a lot more native, natural, organic. And people have been advertised to for so long on social media that you get a pattern interrupt when there's a user, one of your own users, one of our own customers, and we allow them to create content on behalf of the brand. Where I started was the Kardashians and Ellen and all these big placements, which we still utilize today. It's strategic, but we really cater to the users because those are testimonials that are directly from the customer where they say, guys, I had a wedding coming up. I didn't think I could whiten my teeth in time. I have super sensitive teeth. I bought a few things on Amazon and this is the one that ended up working. And here's my wedding picture. And it's so like, you can't even script that.
You
the
can
animation.
tell
Authenticity.
organic
Yeah.
or real from script 100%.
It's a script, right? Like you can't even script it, even if I wanted to. Like, and this is coming from someone who is, I like to consider myself somewhat of a scientific. I studied, Dr. Robert Cialdini and influence and all these things, right? But then I go and throw it to the audience, and we did this even in insurance. And we were in a credit repair as well. And we grabbed a few actual customers and just said, film like what was going on and stuff. Crying, just like all of these clips that were just so real and authentic. I'm like, I could never. Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the founder of Snow. Buy our toothpaste.
Yep.
And you're like, that works to a certain degree. But if it's someone that's just on their iPhone, that is so engaging in today's social ecosphere that if you can get your audience, your customers, your clients, your partners to create content for you authentically, and then you amplify that content, there's something different around it. And the platforms allow for whitelisting, which means that if Robert posts a picture saying, guys, I have super sensitive teeth. I've been using this Snow toothpaste and I tell it how it is, and I will not travel without this thing for the rest of my life. And then you whitelist that, which means I could run it through his account and amplify that and boost it. Now they're seeing Robert Wednesday for Snow, right? It's him in the ad. Everything matches.
What do you mean by that whitelisting?
Whitelisting is a way for me to get access to be able to boost the content that you post on your page without getting your login password or anything like that. So if you post a video that happens to go semi-viral on TikTok for Snow, we might reach out to you and say, hey, things are looking really good. We'd like to boost this on our dime and maybe even perhaps give you a cut of some of the sales because what you created, thank you, it's working well. Where before we try to force that, create that, manufacture that. And now today, you can't beat 1,000 customers doing 1,000 videos, then putting that in the auction and letting the horses go to race. And you go, no way, Winnie's winning, right? Like that is nuts. Let's go all in on Winnie. And you run that, and some of our UGC videos have tens of millions of views, more than the celebrity videos.
Really?
Wow. And those people become local celebrities in their town because we're amplifying their content, right? So that, to me, blew my mind. So we do a ton of user-generated content. Even when we're raising money for our funds, selling toothpaste, selling hair care with our Anala brand, it's really going back to the customer. Like I started in the beginning, calling every customer. Would you be, open to making a video on your iPhone? Just say whatever you want to say of what was going on. And then you get these impactful stories. I had just been through a divorce, lost my self-confidence, was re-entering the dating world, and used some snow products, but I was afraid to because I had sensitive teeth. Like, how do you even come up with that? Like, that's just, even AI is going to have a hard time coming up. So I think using crowdsourcing, the authentic content, and then looking at your negative reviews. Like, we use our negative reviews and positive reviews to create ad copy. So now the script for the ad comes directly from that. And so now you've got the ad from this person that matches that to a landing page that's saying why people getting married in 2024 can't stop talking about snow. And it's an ad creative from a customer who was getting married and she's showing her wedding photo. Then you get a few of them and you collage them together and now you've got social proof. And that's the creation. And before it would cost $500,000 for whatever, a Kardashian or whatever it might cost, right? For the big ones. Now it's like, just call your customers up actually. See what they got to say.
Right.
And then maybe you could afford a Kardashian to boost your brand and help you with other things. But go to your customers, dude. They have all the answers.
I love
So what you're saying is in 2025, Super Bowl, UGC, Wendy from North Carolina was going to be your ad.
I'd love that, man.
Wouldn't that be so cool?
I love
Like
that.
the Kanye West ad. You guys see the Kanye West Super Bowl ad?
Yeah.
That thing crushed.
Oh, he arbitraged it nicely.
He just grabbed his iPhone and was like, so basically I got some shoes to sell. It's like, go to Yeezy.com. I'll put them link below. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I read the whole case study.
Interesting.
Brilliant.
You need all your
Super Bowl.
Investorlift people, same thing. I increase my business, I'm so-and-so. It's organic, it's real, it's the same thing.
One
It's
of
beautiful.
the funnest things is I'll go on YouTube sometimes, I'll search Investorlift and watch people's shorts. And there's people that they sell deals live. You and Tony have put out a bunch of these. Like, hey, I just made $85,000 assignment fee, sold on Investorlift. Check it out. Or there's one guy who did a short about how they bought and sold a house without even literally without even getting photos, without doing it. They sold it before they even called the seller. Actually, you shouldn't
Before
do
they
that.
had it under
You shouldn't, before they had it on contract, just to see, because our sellers, our buyer site or seller site allows people to upload photos. They're like, we're not sure about this. And the guy just downloaded the photos, posted on Investorlift, sold it at $20,000 higher, then called up the seller and was like, we'll buy it for it.
Insane.
So there's a bunch of these videos and I should totally start. You just boost them.
It. Yeah,
you
that's
just
it. You
them,
boost them. Yeah, because you're never gonna be able to sell as well as that conviction, right? Publisher clearinghouse, they knock on the door, big old check. That's what sells. Steve Harvey's there, but he's knocking. So it's that kind of mindset that any business, enterprise SaaS, door-to-door, you name it. And if I could flip open a little tablet and be like, ma'am, can I spend 30 seconds with you to show you 2 case studies that I think you're really going to like? If you don't, you can slap me in the face and I'll get out of here. 30 seconds, and she sees 2 15-second clips of a woman that looks just like her and goes, hi, I'm your neighbor. And I just did this and it changed my life. My marriage was on the rocks. And because of doing this deal, I was able to do this. And here we are in Aruba. And you're like, whoa, that was quick. So I think the relevance, the guard down of seeing other people do it. Think about esports. Tens of millions of people wake up every morning and start streaming, right? They're watching streams, right? So Food Network was the originator and to some degree of that. Let's watch people make food. Now we watch people gamble, we watch people esport, and we watch people flip houses live on, live on Investorlift. So that same approach is very hard to beat. And Mr. Beast said recently that this, they used to make videos very clippy and quick. Now they're extending that format to a longer form where people are streaming for 6 hours. I'll be streaming on a platform called Mentor where it's, business education streaming. And it's every week and it's 1 hour I'm on live and I'm teaching. And I think that format has changed. People are looking for authentic. I don't need to hear from the founder of so-and-so. Of course he thinks it works. They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from someone that smoked cigarettes for 40 years straight, had sensitive teeth, and now found the love of their life and got a promotion at their job because of using Snow.
Yeah.
Like that is, I can't do that. Like, that's not me. Like,
They
that's
need
that
transparency, relatability,
Absolutely.
yeah, connection.
Then
Just
you
like
don't
all
have
of
to
our
sell.
businesses.
You just show.
Totally.
Yeah.
We started this new format of Investorlift. I used to do like, with big coaches, I'd get on and I'd do a webinar and we would run basically through a product demo. And I got bored of doing those every month. So it was like one time I got on with Josh and Tiffany's group and I was just like, you know what? Who's got a deal? Let's just sell a deal. And we got on the phones and dude, we had some crazy phone conversations. Like this guy's talking about how he got shot in a house he flipped across the street. And like, don't ever call me about like, and we sold the deal live. So I was, and everyone, and then the sales team, I didn't think anything of it. And then 2 days later, the sales team comes to me and is like, what the hell did you just do? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, dude, we just signed up $250,000 of clients from Josh and Tiffany's group. Damn. I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I did a couple more times. This week we did 4. We did 4 this week. All 4 houses sold at or above asking price live. And like the conversations you have, you can't make it up.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you,
it up.
there's Aiden Ross, one of the highest paid streamers, got a $150 million deal for Kick.com. Kick.com is backed by Stake.com, which is gambling. So when you go on Kick.com and you look at the top streamers, they're live gambling.
Really?
And then people get the itch and then they sign up for Stake, which is the platform that owns it. And they figured out that kind of, to a degree, like this voyeur attempt of I'm watching someone else do something and I'm getting a little dopamine rush.
Yeah.
Enough for me to see someone play, what is it in Vegas? They do the Monty game and they have the decoy. You're like, oh, I got to play. The card's under that. They got you.
Yeah.
It's that. And I was like, whoa, that could be kind of what's happening there. And that's why we've been on the real estate side. So I'm a partner in a roofing company and a storm damage restoration company, storm chasing. And so we looked at that and said, whoa, what if we could do these inspections ahead of point, get the before picture like I get with teeth.
Yeah.
We have over 10,000 transformation photos, which is very hard to get because people forget to take a picture before they start using the product.
Yeah.
They forget to take it after. They don't want their face in it. It's so hard to get those, but they're liquid gold. And what you're seeing is that piece is what people are watching. They're watching people play Halo. 100,000, 500,000 people watching someone else play. But you got to give them that right combination of fix for them to stick. And what you're finding out is that combination is sticky. Just do more of that. In fact, if you were just streaming that, that's dopamine on demand.
Yep.
And if I can plug into that and your platform was the way for me to get more of that dopamine, then it's a perfect place. And media, I think Joe Rogan says, it's the only thing that multiplies itself. Yeah. So if your Investorlift podcast gets on CNBC, then that goes on to a show and it multiplies, which increases the value of that network effect of your own media. But figuring out that angle is so key. Like, why does Hoarders have 28 seasons or whatever? Like, they figured out a format. Why does Shark Tank have like 30? They figured out a format that works. So once you figure out that format and then you have an incentive model attached to it, dude, I love watching those videos. When you're closing, when you can close a loop on a call, I feel invested and I got an ROT, return on my time. Because you killed the bad guy or you beat the boss or you beat the level. And kind of I did too, because I was there, that was crazy. So you tapped into that, and it's interesting. It's actually not that crazy if you think of Selling Sunset, $1 million listing, how big those shows are. The idea of connecting those dots is actually really big. Being able to see Zach as he goes and meets the tenants and is improving the backyards, like I would watch that all day.
You might be able to pretty soon. Can't say much more about that, but Zach's got some surprises.
Stay tuned.
Coming up here, in a month or so?
Yeah, hopefully. It's going to be good.
I'm lining up, man.
Yeah.
I'm
But
ready.
again, and your point is so true, and your point, because people see it. It's not like the top sales guys, take my word, you're going to make millions. No, here's somebody just like you, the relationship, the connection, the vulnerability. And it's like when I do my lives, love Luigi. He filmed me forever, and then he would edit all this stuff. It looks edited, and they're beautiful, amazing videos, but what people like is live. I'm walking through a home. I don't even know what I'm gonna see. Why I didn't want to engage with you guys too much before is because I want to hear your story. Not like, oh, I've heard it, now here's my fake reaction. No, I like being real. You know, real with everybody across the board. We talked about it. And so doing these lives, seeing these tenants, seeing the hoarders that are in there. We walk through the house, people are gonna see this. They're like, this is fake. It's not fake. Everything we do is real. It's
all
crazy.
real. I think that's why
fun.
I think that's why our content does really well. Like that first podcast, we have the highest watch time we've ever had on a YouTube video because it's raw, authentic. There was one of these that we did this week, which was my favorite. Jacob Blank, I made a bet with him that I could take someone on my sales team that has never talked to a buyer before and put him on one of his deals and he could sell it in under an hour. Literally never talked to a buyer before, doesn't know anything about real estate. All he knows is software. And so I take Lars, who's 20 years old, never talked to a buyer. I'm like, hey, come here, we're filming a video right now.
And from another country, by the way.
And from another country. English is a second language. Literally, his hands were like shaking while he was on a call. But you can't fake that. I'm like, dude, I'm glad you were so nervous. He's like, afterwards, he came to me. He's like, are you sure you want to post that? And I'm like, of course I want to post that.
Did he sell it?
No,
Did he sell it?
We sold it $700 above ask.
Nice.
In 52 minutes.
Of course you did.
And
What a
he's like, yeah,
savage.
but I look so nervous. What do people
That's the
see
best
this? And they're gonna be like,
part.
wait, this is Investorlift top sales guy. Like, he's like, I did horrible. I'm like, no, dude, you know what's gonna happen? We're gonna do that 2 or 3 more times. The next one we're going to do is we're going to coach him before. We're going to give him 20 minutes of coaching, walk him through the call of all the different ways the call can go, how to handle objections with buyers, like, you know, how
You're
to
a
qualify
producer,
buyers.
man. That's exactly what it is. You figure out that angle. Look at reality TV. I mean, it's huge, right? And it is all up in there, right? You got hoarders, you got intervention.
Love is Blind.
Love is
One of my
Blind, 90 Day Fiance. I know them all, dude. And 40 spinoffs of Real Housewives. Like, the more real that they can get, now people, that wasn't always that way. Before with Instagram, it was image focused, photos only. So your photos got to be edited. It's got to, you create this pristine. Then they came out with stories, which is smart. Now you can show a little bit more. Then TikTok took over. And now it's like, get ready with me. This whole idea of get ready with me videos is show me before makeup as I get ready. So this vulnerability that has tens of billions of views created this kind of opening where someone like you, someone like myself, us, we go, oh wait, we could just show the real stuff.
Right.
And that actually does better. Where we don't have to do this whole production and this whole, spend all this money and months in production. That's kind of how it used to be. Nowadays, Mr. Beast can get more views than the Super Bowl. You know, and he does spend more on production now, but like you could, like Kylie Jenner could be right here and get more views than a Super Bowl ad potentially with just an iPhone type video. That wasn't available. There was an iPhone before. There wasn't the network effect of social media. Like none of that was available. Plus the taste, the appetite from the network effect was more curated videos and stuff like that. Now it's full on, like what you're saying, like raw, take that in. You can edit it so that you, like what reality TV does is they take the rawness and they just whittle it down to that, amplify it. So the whole thing is like a soap opera. And that's what people are natural. What is the news? So like, why do so many people watch it? It's so addicting. They're pulling triggers, reality TV. So, and honestly, and I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing because on going public, it's hard to make business stuff entertaining generally. But then when you start showing the just rawness of it, like this season 2, we got them doing lie detector tests. We have some undercover stuff. We kidnap them and throw them into a trunk and see how they respond in that area. And you know, so we're testing them. And different than season 1. Season 1 was a little bit more structured, very good, very strong content. Season 2, with the new team, they're like, what if we mix it up a little bit? Let's do a lie detector test with the CEOs and all these things. And so, are you the right person to run this company with a lie detector test on? So we're mixing it in because we go, you know what? One, it's fun for us to do. It's fun to film. And you don't have to worry so much and be like, is everything perfect? Just ship it. And actually, people love it more. And that's what's happening right now is that people are loving that style a lot more and the longer form. Like I want to follow Robert all day. I want to see what is he eating. You know, like I want to see, you know what I mean?
Totally. That's a great, and a common word that an adjective in my business I think is so important in terms of success, and I'm sure you guys could probably concur. which is just having fun. I mean, like, at the end of the day, business is so serious. What's the exit? What's your multiple? What's your ROI? What's ARV? What's all this? No one gives a shit. At the end of the day, how do you make them feel? Do they want to be in your presence like tonight? Like, I'm tired as shit. Robert calls it, hey, are you free tonight for a quick one? Maybe tomorrow too? Yeah, the answer is always yes. Why? Because we have a great time. This is fun. This isn't work. This is real. And how do you, I'm sure the part of your script is loosening somebody up. It's not like, hey, what do you need for your house? No. What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Where are you from? Where's your accent from? When I was buying direct to sellers before, that was my whole mantra. What's your secret name when I need to call you back? I know your name's Bob, but like, what's your like go-to name? Is it Billy? Like, what do you like to be called, right? Like, you gotta relax and you gotta have fun. And without that, there's nothing there.
I couldn't agree more. Love that.
Love that. Josh, there's probably people that are watching this that look up to a guy like you who's, had multiple exits, sold billions of dollars of product, just knockout after knockout after knockout. And they're like, that is like so far up there.
Yeah.
What advice you got for the guy that's just starting his first business?
Yeah, adversity is your superpower. No one, don't complain. No one really cares.
Yeah.
You are your worst enemy.
Yep.
Ego, obviously the enemy, right? We know that. You don't know what you don't know, which is sometimes your biggest advantage in the space.
Yeah.
Allowing you to come in and do things different. Like when I entered Snow in oral care, I was like, let's go for Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and all of these high fashion magazines. And they're like, but it's toothpaste. I go, exactly. It's not just toothpaste, it's Snow toothpaste. And it belongs in Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom and Saks, where we today sell our products. So it was like, no, you need to sell toothpaste. Not anyone's toothpaste, Snow toothpaste, because it's made for you. And so coming in without being a dentist, without knowing those things, having a great dental board, but still being in charge, that was what made me realize if oral care met beauty and supplements in one space, what would that brand look like? And so I think that you can look at my path. What you don't see is, 15 years plus of loneliness, struggle, all of the work that I've had to do on myself, all of the rebuilding that I've had to do, all the money I've made and subsequently lost. You don't see those, right? Because history is written by the winners.
Yeah.
And so you only look back and nobody likes talking about that stuff anyway. So, but the reality is, be willing to give up on businesses, be willing to give up on business partners that are toxic or hurting you, employees, et cetera, right? Even people in your life, right? Family.
Yep.
Protect your inner circle, because you need every ounce and every piece, every ounce of gas to break out of the stratosphere. And you can't help anyone without destroying yourself until you've elevated yourself to a point where you can lift people up.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult, and you got to surround, even if you don't have anyone physically around you, virtually create a world where you're listening. Watch what you're downloading. Your brain is a supercomputer. And sometimes that computer gets viruses and it needs antivirus. So you need to kind of cleanse it. And what are you downloading? And just like a computer, you download a bad piece of software and you get malware, and you're wondering why you're lagging and glitching.
Yeah.
That's because you're not feeding yourself well, you're not sleeping well, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not being honest with yourself. Addictions, afflictions. So I would say you are your worst enemy, because in the beginning, when you're starting out, you have more time than money. But one day, you will have more money than time.
Yeah.
And the only thing that separates you from going back to that is judgment. And judgment comes from wisdom, which comes from experience, yours and other people's. So if you can learn as much as you can from other people, but the truth is most clarity comes through progress. So you have to do something to learn something to the ultimate degree. But if you just focus on get better every week, every month, can I listen to better podcasts? Can I watch less TV? Can I maybe hang out with people that are a little bit more inspirational, that aren't afraid of my big ideas? Or talk me down or talk me out?
I love it.
Can I remove family members that are just leeches and absorbing from me and not adding to me? And then you have to be really ruthless in the beginning, because if anyone is a neutral or negative, get them out of your life.
Yeah.
Even if they're neutral. And people are like, Josh, that's harsh. Even if they're neutral. Yeah, dude. Because when you're running on freaking fumes and you're wasting that, you're never gonna make it. So you gotta protect yourself, choose yourself first. Then one day you realize that in order to build something really big, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So then you have to figure out leadership. And you're no longer the person writing the ads and hopping on the calls. You're the person inspiring that person to do it better than you, hopefully.
Yeah.
So then there's another calling of leadership that you have to learn. But until in the beginning, don't look at anyone else's story other than to say where they absolutely started from. Robert wasn't born with Investorlift and doing real estate. Like, he wasn't 3 years old typing stuff out. Like, we all learned something.
My parents kicked me out when I was 16.
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
You wild boy. So I would say ultimately, look, don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could tell my younger self that everything I wanted in my life would come to me. And the thing that I realize I love the most is peace.
Yeah.
And peace comes from freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, freedom to be friends with who I want to be friends with, spend time, spend the day how I want to. And always remember that even billionaires spend their time doing things that's free. So they play board games, right? Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they read, that's free. They play board games, free. They plant trees, free. They hang out with their family, free.
Exercise
free. Right? So whatever they do is actually free. So you're going to spend your whole life to do things you could be doing today for free. So why don't you do that? And the last piece is think of yourself 2 years from now and start acting like that today. Start saying that, manifesting that. Even if you're not a real estate investor today, look at what I'm doing, right? I am humble down to my core to build. I want to build a real estate empire, and I want to build that with people I like. And I want to, like, that's my next thing. I want to figure that out. Be willing to humble yourself and learn. Put yourself 2 years out and start proclaiming that today and say, hi, my name is Josh. Today you might work at anywhere, whatever. And you say, I am a real estate investor. Really? You say, yes, I am a real estate investor. Even for you, the wholesaling side, whatever. What are you going to be 2 years from now? Start now, because it's going to happen. So don't be willing to bet on yourself. Push hard, don't give up, and start acting like how you would 2 years from now today. And stuff starts connecting, man. The world's a beautiful place, and I'm very happy to be an entrepreneur. But some things take a long time. Everyone wants their first business to be their biggest business. But like we talked about with the other big examples, this is not our first business ever. This is not our first thing we've ever tried. So you gotta get your training wheels. You gotta put in the work, and there are no shortcuts. Unfortunately, I really hate to say that there really aren't any shortcuts, because even if I gave you $1 billion and you didn't know how to spend it, you'd still lose it. There are no shortcuts. You have to do the hard work. You're not a numbers guy? Sorry, tough luck, become a numbers guy. You're enough to be able to protect yourself and protect your business. So those are the things. It takes time to learn, but luckily most people starting out have more time than money. So use that time wisely, and one day you'll have more money than time, and you'll be wise enough to leverage that.
I love that.
Love it.
Just end on that. That's the whole podcast right there. If you only have 10 minutes to watch, just watch that.
Just watch the last 10 minutes.
Have a nice day. Pass the tissues, please.
The ones with the lotion.
One last question for you, and then we gotta wrap it. This has been absolutely incredible. If you could go back to meet your 15-year-old self, that you could give one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be easy on yourself, pal.
What was that?
Be easy on yourself.
Easy on
pal.
yourself.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it, buddy. Don't give up.
You know what's interesting? Someone asked that to me on a podcast a couple days ago. I answered almost exactly the same.
Yeah?
I was like, don't stress. It's all going to work out.
And buy a lot of Bitcoin.
And that's what I answered first. I said, don't put your Bitcoin in empty box. It was the first thing I said. No, I'm joking.
Oh, man. But I still tell myself today, chill out, dude.
Peace.
Give yourself grace. Peace. Did you have a good time? Did you have fun? Was it a good day? You can't solve the world's problems in one day. And you have seasons. And you are going to go through seasons where you think you can walk on water and nothing's going to go wrong. And you will go through seasons where you say, how will I last another hour? My panic attacks, my anxiety, my stomach's upside down. All these things are the lawsuits, the worst things in the world. And you will think, I can't make it. And I look back and I go, man, I wish I could tell myself where I'd be today.
Just nice pat on the back. It's going to be okay, buddy.
All right, bud. Just stay alive. And don't give up on yourself. Stay alive and do not give up on yourself.
Good answer.
Absolutely incredible, guys. This is.
Yeah, that was it.
Was this
beautiful.
a fire?
Solid.
This is a few hundred
Solid.
million. We're getting probably
Solid.
half
That
a
was
billion
awesome.
net worth on this one couch. Absolutely incredible. So much incredible gems dropped.
Yeah.
By everyone. I love this, guys. If you want to see more content like this, you need to let us know that you like content like this. So drop us a comment. Give us a like. I want you to ask Josh some questions. Josh, if people ask questions, can you respond to some questions in the
For
comments?
sure. What? Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So you want to ask Josh a question, drop them in the comments. Josh is going to respond
I'd love that.
to some of those comments himself. I'm sure we'll get these two guys in the comments as well. 11 out of 10, that's what this is all about. This is about talking to entrepreneurs in our industry and in other industries that don't stop at 10 out of 10. They find that extra gear. They go to 11 out of 10. They become the best in the world. And Josh, I got to say, you definitely take things 11 out of 10.
Rockstar.
I appreciate that.
Inspiring, man. It's
Thanks for
I
having
mean,
me,
we meet a
guys.
lot of entrepreneurs. I engage with a lot of people. Tonight, I was moved by your story.
Big time.
I appreciate you guys.
Congratulate you on your success, both you guys. It was an honor to share the couch with you guys. It was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Nice
inviting me
meeting
over.
you.
Yeah.
First time I met y'all.
I know, it's crazy. It's fun.
All right, that's a wrap.
Now.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.